Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're looking at the theatrical film for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, The Sacred Star of Milos.
This movie serves as a side story to Brotherhood as the Elrics search for the truth behind an unknown form of alchemy in the lost holy land of Milos. What secrets are hidden in Milos? Riddles must be solved and dangers faced before the truth can be found.
Too bad there weren't any.
Yeah, and too bad they only made a guest appearance.
And then you find out, I looked online as I was setting up for this particular podcast, that it's not even canon. Then why'd you make it?
Because they wanted to capitalize on the popularity of the show, and that we really just wanted to see more of Ed and Al. That's all it was, and the other characters. And they took advantage of our desires, and they made this movie. Now,
and to be fair, we were very excited to see the movie, and we know there are a lot of people that did not like the movie. Some did and some didn't, but we still want to see it for ourselves and still want to support the people behind it that did this and put a lot of effort into it.
Right, and I'm still happy that we got to see some form of Ed and Al, because it was some version of them. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the one we know. And we got to see a little humor, and I'm really glad we still own it. But yeah, I can understand why this isn't canon.
Yeah, and when you watch the movie, on one hand, you can tell there is a lot of effort put into it, and definitely creating this whole new environment, this whole new country. All the people there, its laws, its customs, its history. So there was effort put into it, but it was in the wrong place. They put so much effort into making the Milos universe, they forgot about Ed and Al.
Mm-hmm. I think it should have just been an entirely different movie. And as we were saying when we were watching it, they could actually have left out Ed and Al, and
the movie
would have really known the difference.
Yeah, the movie would have had no change, because when it starts off with a new character entirely and her backstory, and then what leads up to now. Then you get to Ed and Al, which was fine at first, but it's like, why would you start Fullmetal Alchemist movie without Fullmetal Alchemist first?
Right. Well, they actually did start them. They appeared in the beginning. They appeared in the middle. They appeared when they had the climax. And then they took the movie out. And that was it. I mean, they really didn't lend anything to the story.
No, that was...
Their skills didn't do...
Apparently...
It didn't really make a difference.
Right.
Al kept rescuing the girl. And then Ed showed up, and Ed didn't even really use his alchemic powers.
No.
So.
And the thing was, it seemed like this movie that his alchemy was useless in terms of, anything. Alchemy didn't help him whatsoever. Only Al's alchemy, and only, I think this new character's name was Julia. Her alchemy worked. Her brother's alchemy worked. Al's alchemy was like, okay, how come the title character's alchemy is the only one not working? Because every time he used it, this unknown alchemy was stronger than theirs, and they didn't even find out what it was, how it worked. It's just like, no, it's right. It's unknown and it's stronger, and it's like the Tesseract. That's all you're gonna know about it right now and ever, because that's what was really baffling. Like, okay, if he's supposed to be helping these characters, why isn't he being helped? Why isn't he in the movie? Mm-hmm. Why is he being pushed to the back? Heck, like the first thing they get on a train, there's robbers on the train. It's like, this is why they don't take the train. It's like they walk everywhere. Now you know why they walk everywhere, because everywhere they go on the train, there's some bad guy trying to rob the train.
And it's almost like the writers were trying to get a darker story than Ishbalin. And they did, and this was very dark, very violent, just very bloody.
Yeah.
We were really surprised.
Yeah, like, this kind of much.
The arc, sounded interesting, and then you had these twists and turns that you didn't see coming. But for the most part, this was a very violent story.
Yeah. And it's
again,
funny.
It was just an entirely different movie. It really didn't have anything to do with Fullmetal Alchemist.
Right, and it's funny that you say that, because two things we found out looking at the bonus features and looking up the information about this movie before buying it. When we watched it, it was an hour-long behind-the-scenes documentary on how this movie came to be and the process they went to making the movie. Which, again, there was some effort put into it, so it wasn't a lazy effort at all.
Right, exactly.
It was just that it seemed like the plot of the movie was actually a plot for another anime or another manga altogether. And it said that it got rejected, which is actually starting to become a trend where rejected ideas get clammed into existing properties, and then it's like, it doesn't do well because it doesn't match. So whatever this was, Sacred Star of Milos seemed to be its own story,
right?
But it didn't pass on its own. So the guy combined it with Fullmetal Alchemist and just kind of had them show up and mix it in there and try to fit into the universe, and then the movie was made.
I really think it wasn't so much that it didn't match, which it doesn't, but they knew that if you put Ed and Al in it and the other characters, we would watch it. That was it, plain and simple. Right. They wanted to capitalize on the popularity of the characters for this project. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wish that their characters had more input and it really mattered. They even threw in, Roy Mustang and his people, and they really had nothing to do in this
they
movie.
Were just there. Even when you look at the pictures, it has Mustang and Hawkeye and Armstrong and Winry and then Ed and Al, the three main characters, and none of them had anything to do with anything.
And Winry just made a guest appearance, a cameo. It's like, why was she even there?
Right. She
was
didn't
at
get
the
to do
desk,
anything.
And they're like, oh, I'm going to help his automail.
Wait,
and
they didn't call you.
Up.
Yeah, she didn't come up to like the end of the movie, which was bizarre because they had some automail mechanics there, so she didn't have to appear in it.
Right.
And then found out since it's not canon, they also say that it's its own universe. It's separate from Brotherhood and 2003, which is backwards because most of the stuff in here references 2003.
And a lot of the animation is different, but you can tell the styling is really patterned after the 2003.
Because most of it is kind of distracting sometimes because there are times it looks like they never finished. They just colored in a rough drawing and then that was the animation. And Ed's design and some of the elements, because 2003 was actually way darker, surprisingly, than Brotherhood in terms of its lore. And this one was more in the vein of that. And we know that at the time 2003 was wildly popular, and there are people that like that more than Brotherhood. So, and maybe the person or people behind it were actually more favorable towards the original version that wasn't like the manga and ended up patterning that in the movie. So Brotherhood fans aren't going to be as keen to it because you pattern after the version that isn't as popular now. Because Brotherhood definitely surpasses the original.
Right, and our favorite version is Brotherhood. But you'll hear it in our podcast that when we discuss the 2003 version, there are things that we like about that version that were included.
Right.
Not in Brotherhood, that really added some depth and gave some backstory. But you'll hear us discuss that now.
Right. And
of course, we're very happy that the voice actors all had
both
work.
in English and Japanese.
Right, and they all returned and appeared, which was great. Because when we watched it, they said they had considered replacing the whole cast, and they thought about that doesn't make sense, which it didn't.
Right.
If you're going to pretend these people are in here, then you need to have the same voice actor.
Exactly. And also found out, like I said, it took place in its own universe, which explains a lot because if they're here, it'd be like, why aren't you... Well, they're still looking for a way to restore their bodies. They're still looking for the Philosopher's Stone, which this still had nothing to do with the Philosopher's Stone. And well, it kind of did, but it was like even more, not vulgar. It's more violent than what the show had.
Right.
And it didn't even have in this universe the homunculi, Scar, Father. No, none of them exist in this universe. So there was no conflict of thinking. Okay. Where is Bradley? Where is these other characters? Where is the antagonist? They don't exist in this universe. It's its own thing. So it's like they're just mostly going from adventure to adventure, which again is like 2003, where until like halfway through or more, it was mostly just them having little side adventures and helping people like it was Scooby-Doo / Supernatural. So this ended up being like a big fantastical adventure that unfortunately didn't meet up to those expectations because they weren't even in their own story in a movie. It became all about this new character and her brother and this story, which was interesting, but there were times where it just didn't work, or they were trying too hard to make it fit with Full Metal, and it wasn't, especially when it got near the climax. It was very clear that it was not Fullmetal Alchemist.
Right. So, if you haven't seen this movie, you can't see it on Netflix, and it's no longer available on Amazon Prime, so you'll have to buy it. You can find many copies on sale, used in excellent condition on Amazon for a really great price in all regions. It's available, I should say, in all regions.
Right.
So if you have seen this movie, let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you are a fan of it, let us know what stands out for you and what made you a fan of this offshoot of the Fullmetal Alchemist series.
Oh, and quick last thing that Mama mentioned. You're going to notice there's a lot of similarities to The Legend of Korra when you watch it. And yeah, you're definitely going to see a lot of parallels, because I think at the time this came out, I think it came out in 2011. So this was a little bit before they had Legend of Korra, but it's like Avatar anyway.
Somehow,
so, yeah. So they were getting stuff from Avatar way before they had the sequel series. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in